Shabbat Shalom. And welcome to those of you who are here in person in our congregation, as well as those who will be joining us in the blessing of technology. And so we welcome everyone here. For those of you who have yet to put on your talit, I invite you to turn to page 298. That's 298 in the brackets. Sorry, 289. 289 for the blessing. Bless Adonai, O my soul, Adonai, my God, how great you are. You are robed in glory and majesty, wrapping yourself in light as in a garment, spreading forth the heavens like a curtain. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehit ateh bat. And we turn to page 290. Is this microphone picking up today? How is that? Is that better? It's better? Okay. If you're watching through the blessing of technology and you want to mention if the microphone is working well, feel free to chime in. Ma tovu halecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu halecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael, va'ani berov chastecha avo ve'techa, eshtachave el heichol kodshecha ve'yiratecha. As we continue on page 292,
The soul that you have given me, O God, is pure. You created and formed it, breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as I have breath, therefore, I will give thanks to you, my God and the God of all ages, source of all being, loving guide of every human spirit.
Baruch atah Adonai, asher bi'ado nefesh kol chai, ve'ruach kol besar ish. And before we jump into our miracles of every day, our Nisim B'chol Yom, which you can find on page 293 in the brackets, 293, I would invite anyone to share something good that's happening in your life, a daily miracle, or just something nice or celebratory since you last came to Shabbat or to Adik, something going on in our lives. Yes.
It hasn't happened yet, but Monday, I have only 3 first cousins left on one side of the family, and we're all getting together for lunch. It's been a long time.
Getting together with your cousins. Only 3 first cousins that you haven't seen in a long time. Lovely. And to be able to do that in person as well. We don't take that for granted. I also want to do a little wave to the Wolf family because we're going to celebrate a a little simcha today where Olivia will officially get her Hebrew name during this Parashat Shemot, this Torah portion of names. We had some new names Hebrew names bestowed last night. It's still Shabbat Shemot, and so we're delighted that you're going to be with us to receive your Hebrew name. As we continue on page 293 with our blessings of every day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasek bivina lahavchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokev kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaber. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanotein layaev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir sheina me'enai udnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani bat chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael betifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. As we turn to page 302, we sing this song for Shabbat. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat tov lehodot le'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat tov lehodot le'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Lahagid b'boker chastecha ve'emunatecha b'leilot alei asor va'aleina ve'alei higayon b'chinor. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat tov lehodot le'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. We continue now on page 303 in the brackets with Ashrei, chanting responsively. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalelucha selah. Tila leDavid, aromim chalo hai hamelech, v'avarcha shimcha leolam va'ed. Gadol Adonai umhulal me'od, v'ligdulato ein cheker. Hadar kavod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha. Zecher rav tuvcha yabiu, v'tzidchacha yiranenu. Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav. Kivod malchutcha yomeru, ugvuratcha yidaberu. Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Einei chol elecha yisaberu, ve'ata noten lahem et ichlam bito. Tzadik Adonai b'chol dorachav, v'chasid b'chol ma'asav. Ritzon yireav yaseh, ve'et shavatam yishma v'yoshiem. Tilat Adonai yidaber pi, v'varech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'et. V'hanachnu nivarech ya, me'ata v'ad olam, hallelujah. If we could pass the microphone to the next person and would read at the bottom of page 308 to the top of page 309. Page 308 in the bracket.
Even if our mouths were full of song as the sea, and our tongues full of joy in countless waves, and our lips full of praise as wide as the sky's expanse, and were our eyes to give off light like sun and moon, if our hands were spread out like heaven's eagles, and our feet swift like young deer, we could never thank you adequately, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, or bless your name for 1,000th of the many thousands, or tens of thousands, the countless times that you granted good things to our ancestors and to us.
We continue now on page 313. As we're able, we rise. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la la ya, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. As we pass the microphone back to a reader who will lead us on the prayer at the top of page 314. 314.
The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words, As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness.
Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. And we continue then on page 317 with someone leading. We'll read responsibly. Okay. Page 317, 317.
O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity.
We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully, we recall the lawgivers and prophets, psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose.
May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth.
Baruch atah Adonai, abocher bi'amo Yisrael bi'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. May be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lektecha b'derech u'shokbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. On page 321, if someone would lead us.
Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content. Her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot, osei fele, osei fele, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. As we're able, we rise for the tefillah on page 323. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melech, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, Kishem shemakdishim oto bishmei marom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, V'kara ze'el ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch kol haaretz, Kevodo, Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu Mahadir, Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimkomom, Echadu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, V'hu Yashmienu, V'rachamav L'nei Kol Chai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai Le'olam, Elohai Etzion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha, Ulenetzach Netzachim Kedushacha Nakdish, V'shifracha Eloheinu Mipinu Lo Yamush Leolam Va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ahel HaKadosh. May be seated. As we continue on page 329, in the brackets 329, Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat. Mekadashei, Mekadashei Shevi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbe'u, Ve'itan Gumitu Vecha Shabbat. v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdad yamim, oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. Zecher lemaseh, lemaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher lemaseh, lemaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat. We continue at the bottom of page 332. Page 332 at the bottom. Can we pass the microphone on to somebody else?
For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations.
Modim anachnu la.
For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons.
Modim anachnu la.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
Modim anachnu la.
For human community, for our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression.
Modim anachnu la.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
Modim anachnu la.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom.
Modim anachnu la.
For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose.
Modim anachnu la.
We pray that we may live, not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds.
Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha l'chana elehodot. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amecha. Sim shalom. shalom, tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amecha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. We continue our prayer silently, whether we are led by the words on the pages of our Siddur through page 337, for other prayers in the Siddur, for those meditations and thoughts in our hearts. Ose shalom, bimromavu ya'ase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav ya'ase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. So as we turn now to the next part of our service, which we call Seder Kriyat HaTorah, for the reading of the Torah, I'm going to invite Olivia to come on up, and you can come up with your whole family. Juliana, you can come too. Lisa, Russ, come on up. Or she doesn't have to come if she doesn't want to. The invitation is there. Juliana, you want to come up to the bima? You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want to, you're welcome to be with your parents and your sister. And you can just watch from right there. That's okay too. So, Olivia, as we were meeting for the first time to get you started on your bat mitzvah preparations, actually it was the second time. I think I met with you in the summer via Zoom. But as we were sitting around my table, thinking, you know what? We formally have not received a Hebrew name, and a Hebrew name is especially used when we're called to the Torah, and at that moment when you're called to the Torah for bat mitzvah. So your parents talked it over with you, and it's nice because you're old enough to have your own input to bestow upon you this Hebrew name. So, Olivia Wolf, child of Russell and Lisa Wolf, we give to you this Hebrew name of Aviva Sarah, Bat Reuven Shlomo Udevora Nechoma. May it be a name honored among the people of Israel, as you will use it in the not too distant future. And Mazel Tov. You're welcome. Now, if you want to stay up here, because we're gonna be opening the Ark. So we turn in our Siddur to page 364. Page 364. You want to come up to the bima yet, Juliana, and help open the Ark? Okay. So as we're able, we rise. Come on over to the ark. Some be on this side and someone on that side. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlu Ladonai Iti, Uneromemo Shemo Yachdav. You may close the doors. Lecha Adonai Hagedula v'Hagevura v'Hatiferet v'Hanetzach v'Hahod Ki chol b'shamayim u'aretz Ki chol b'shamayim u'aretz Lecha Adonai hamamlacha Yamit Naseh Lechol Erosh Yesmechu Hashamayim Yesmechu Hashamayim Yesmechu Hashamayim V'tagel Haaretz Yiram Hayam Yiram Hayam Yiram Hayam Umelo. Yiram Hayam. Take the yad and put it on the yad first. Yiram Hayam. Yiram Hayam Umelo. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. B'tagel haaretz. Now, Olivia, I'm going to ask you to be seated because you are not of age yet to be called to the Torah. And if you feel comfortable, you can say no if you're not comfortable right now because we didn't talk about this in advance, to have the Aliyah to the Torah this morning. Sure. Okay, so you may be seated. I have to call you up by Hebrew name. And so I know you know your Hebrew names because we just did that in the writing, but if we needed help, we could always check what Olivia has. So, and do you also know your parents' Hebrew names? If not, that's okay.
Yeah, I have it written down somewhere.
Okay. So our Torah portion this morning is Shemot. It's the word names, and we are delighted that in honor of his bar mitzvah anniversary, Larry Marcus is reading Torah for us this morning as he read Torah last night. And if you want to follow along, he's going to be reading from chapter 3 of the book, verse 2 and following, Exodus chapter 3, verse 2 and following. And you can follow along in the Chumash on page 398 in the Torah commentary. So actually, let's see. Reuven Shlomo and Nala Amod, Reuven Shlomo Udavora Nachuma Levarech al HaTorah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Havarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher natan banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Elohein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayera Malach Adonai Elav v'leilot esh mitoch hasneh ayah hinei hasneh boer ha'et ba'esh hasneh enenu uchal Vayomer Moshe Asura no Bereh Et Hamare Hagadol Hazeh Madua Lo Yivar Hasneh Vayar Adonai Kisar Hirot Vayikra Elav Elohim mitoch hasneh Vayomer Moshe Moshe Vayomer Hineni Vayomer El Takriv Halom Shana Lecha Me'al Raglecha Ki Hamakom Asher Ata Omed Alav Admat Kodesh Hu Vayomer Anochi Elohei Avicha, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Yizter Moshe Panav, Ki Yarei Mehabit El HaElohim, Vayomer Adonai, Ra'o ra'iti et ani ami asher b'mitzrayim yetza'akatam shamati mipnei nuksav ki yadati et machovav.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torah temet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Mazel tov and Mr. Koach. Okay. Gary, you can stay close because I'm going to do Misha Berach and then you come back. So you want to sit over there. We turn our thoughts and prayers to those who are in need of healing, and so we turn in our Siddur to page 371. If you're joining us through the blessing of technology and would like to add the name of a loved one to our chat, please feel free to do so at this time. Those in the sanctuary will have a chance to add names after I share these people's names whom we are thinking of who are in need of healing, whether it be a healing of the body or a healing of the spirit. In our extended Adith Emmanuel family, we send blessings to Sam Rosenberg, Linda Drachman, Sandra Goldman, Chaim Ben David, Eileen Davison, Craig Davison, Hugh Morton, Art Bond, Roberta Levine, Cy Kliansky, Marlene Kaplan, Jordan Maverick Steinberg, Deanna Amariello, Lisa Galda, Brian Zabel, Ed Crosby, Jonathan Burr, Myra Kaplan, Jeff Schaefer, Lulu Rivuela, Marion Gwertz, Aaron Tepper, Lily Tepper, Louis Alahut, Mary Parker, Tricia Tepper, Carol Schaefer, Mary Mednitsky, Jocelyn Jackson, Jen Jones, Shirley Friedlander, Michael Infanti, Gary Garnick, Ann Marsden, Rick Ulrich, Ileana Cohen, as well as others whose names we would like to mention aloud at this time. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. Mishebeirach Avoteinu, Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach Imotenu, Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. As we are able, we rise now as we lift and dress Torah. Yours a little bit, your side unroll a little bit more so they can see. So when we lift the Torah and you see it, you'll be able to see where the book of Exodus begins. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe, v'zot haTorah, v'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe, v'zot haTorah, lifnei bnei Yisrael, v'zot haTorah, al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe, v'zot haTorah, v'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe, v'zot haTorah, v'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe, v'zot haTorah, v'zot haTorah. May be seated. As we turn now to words of Haftarah, you can follow along this morning's Haftarah reading, which comes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 27, verse 6 and following. And if you would like to follow along in the Plout commentary, we are on page 692, page 692 in the Chumash, Isaiah chapter 27, verse 6 and following. And if you'd like to follow along with the brachot, with the blessings, we are on page 372. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar bin v'im tovim ורצה ודבריהם הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה, אדוני, הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו, ובישראל עמו, ובנביאי האמת בצדק. Does someone have the microphone for the Haftarah reading? Hal, do you have it? Bruce, right behind you, has it. Unless you want to do it, Bruce. Okay, thank you.
Jacob shall come to take root. Israel shall blossom and bloom. They shall fill the earth with fruit, like a medlar when it sends forth runners. Did God strike Israel down like others who were struck? Was Israel slain as God slew the slayers? God contended with them, sending them off with a hot blast, as on the day the east wind comes. See now, thus shall Jacob's sin be atoned, and this will be the result of removing its guilt. When they grind all their altar stones into powdered limestone, when none of the sacred posts and incense altars are left standing. The fortified city is empty, its homes deserted, forsaken like a wilderness. There were calves graze, and there lie down and consume the branches of the trees. When the crown withers, they crack. Women come and use them to kindle fires. Since this people has no understanding, their Maker will show them no pity. Their Creator will show them no mercy. But there will come a day when the river Euphrates and Egypt's Nile, God will beat out the people like grain, and you will be picked up one by one, O people of Israel. And on that day a great shofar will be sound. Those lost in Assyria, those banished to Egypt, shall come back and worship the Eternal on the holy mountain in Jerusalem. Ah, the proud garlands of the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is but fading flowers on the proud heads of gluttons and drunkards. See now, my sovereign has something strong and mighty in store, like a stream of hail, a destructive storm, a downpour of mighty waters flowing the land. They shall be trampled underfoot, the proud garlands of the drunkards of Ephraim. The faded flowers, those glorious beauties, is on the heads of those gluttons. They shall be like an early fig before the summer harvest. Whoever sees it swallows it as soon as it becomes to hand. But a day will come when the God of heaven's host will be a garland of beauty, a diadem of loveliness for the remnant of God's people, a spirit of justice for those who sit as judges, and courage for those who defend the city. But these two are reeling with wine and dazed by liquor. Priest and prophet reel with liquor, are besotted with wine, and totter in judgment. Yes, every table is covered with vomit and filth. Not a place is left clean. The drunkards say, to whom is he teaching his revelation? To those newly weaned from milk. Therefore, teach them one command and then another, one line and then another, a little here, a little there. So the prophet must talk to this crowd with slow speech and simple words, and say to them, here is rest. Rest for the weary, repose is here. Still they refuse to listen. To them the word of the Eternal will come, one command and then another, one line and then another, a little here, a little there. But instead of listening, they will march forward only to fall back hurt, and they will be snarled and taken captive. The Eternal, the one who saved Abraham, therefore says to the house Jacob. No more shall Jacob be put to shame. No more shall his face grow pale. For when his children see what I am doing in their midst, they shall hallow my name, hallowing the Holy One of Jacob, and holding Israel's God in awe.
The blessing afterward. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik bechol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'oseh hamdaber u'mkayim shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al haTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al hanvi'im v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod ultifared al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
So thank you, Larry, for reading and chanting so beautifully. I'm wondering, as Hal was reading the English of the Haftarah, if some of that came back to you, the Haftarah reading as well. Yeah, because it's got some beautiful poetry in there. Yes. So sharing with you the translation of what Larry read this morning, a messenger of the Eternal appeared to him being Moses, in a blazing fire out of a bush. He gazed, and there was a bush all aflame, yet the bush was not consumed. Moses said, I must turn aside to look at this marvelous sight. Why doesn't the bush burn up? Or as my daughter used to say when we read a story when she was little, or burn down. When Adonai saw that Moses had turned aside to look, God called to him out of the bush, Moshe, Moshe. He answered, Here I am. And God said, Do not come closer. Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you stand is holy ground. And continued, I am the God of your father's house, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. And God continued, I have marked well the plight of my people in Egypt, and I have heeded their outcry because of their taskmasters. Yes, I am mindful of their sufferings. So why a burning bush? As we soon approach the new month of Shabbat, the Hebrew month, and the month in which we celebrate the birthday of the trees, the holiday of Tu B'Shvat, we might ask about this week's Torah portion, why did God choose to speak to Moses for the first time from a burning bush? And when we think of the burning bush, it has two parts of it. First of all, it's a bush, but it's not just any bush. It's a thorny bush, it's a lowly bush. And then secondly, why burning? So just a few commentaries, because one could go on and on and on. Here's one from the Midrash Exodus Rabbah, in which the Holy One, blessed be God, said to Moses, You do not sense that I too dwell in sorrow, just as Israel dwells in sorrow. But you should know from the place that I speak to you, from within the thorn bush, that's a sign, as it were, that I too am a partner in their sorrow. So why this thorny prickly? Because to show that God's presence is, and God sharing Moses that I understand where the people Israel are. Well, actually, they're not the people Israel yet. They're B'nai Israel, they're Hebrew slaves. A Mishnaic rabbi by the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says that when the Holy One revealed God's self from the heights of the heaven, why did God choose to speak to Moses out of a thorn bush? Because of all the bushes in the world, the thorn bush is the most apt to inflict harm. Whenever a bird flies into it, the bird cannot emerge unscathed, for many parts of its body will be ripped out as it tries to come out. So too for God, who is everywhere, the task of aiding anyone to emerge free and unscathed out of slavery in Egypt was more delicate by far than out of any other slavery in the world. So the delicacy of trying to remove the bird from a thorn bush as the delicacy of trying to remove the people from slavery. Another Mishnaic comment, why not out of another kind of tree? And this is from Rabbi Joshua ben Korah. Had God spoken to Moses out of a carob tree or out of a sycamore tree, you would have asked me the same question. But to dismiss you with no reply is not right. So I will tell you why. To teach you that no place on earth, not even a thorn bush, is devoid of God's presence. So we have that idea that something that would be so thorny, dangerous, lowly, even God's presence is there too. And Rabbi Yochanan, a 2nd century rabbi, says, just as this thorn bush is used as a fence for a garden, so too is Israel a fence for the world. Alternatively, just as the thorn bush grows near any water, so too Israel grows in the merit of Torah, which is called water. Interestingly, when my husband and I went on vacation in Curacao and we were driving on the island, we saw that people put cactus plants very close together and used them as natural fencing, if you will, to their property, so that the thorn bush could be used as a fencing around of a garden to protect that garden from animals that might come in and eat the food. And then Rabbi Yochanan's drawing that parallel to the Israelites' experience with Torah. So the thorn bush is a garden protects with water. Torah is the water, the very essence, the life that we need. So those are a few different kinds of approaches to the burning bush, and being a bush specifically, that thorny, lowly bush. And so why burning then? So according to a 13th century commentary by the name of Chizkuni, noting that the bush was burning but not being consumed, this was a symbol for both Israel and the Egyptians. The Israelites' enemy, Egypt, is portrayed as an all-consuming fire, while its prey, Israel, is supposed to be represented by the bush that refuses to be consumed by the fire. So the Egyptians are that burning, burning, burning on the bush. The Israelites are the bush itself and refuse to be consumed by the fire. I thought that was interesting, showing the strength of Israel in this otherwise not such a strong, seemingly strong or attractive, let's say, bush. Nechama Leibowitz, a 20th century, mostly also 21st century commentator in Israel, says, how are we to understand this site? Was this revelation through fire designed merely to attract Moses' attention, to make him look up and stare, to shock him and prepare him for what is to come? In that event, it's pointless to look for any special significance in the bush or the fact that it never burnt out. Or, alternatively, was the bush really meant to be symbolic, subject to both a general and detailed interpretation? And so there are many more interpretations of the burning bush. One, for example, tests Moses' patience, right? So you look at a bush, you see it's burning, no big deal, right? You keep going. But you have to stop and stare and look just a little bit longer to notice that this burning bush is burning, but not burning up. And it's also, another interpretation is that when you take the burning bush, the first, it's an attraction to the senses. So the first attraction is to sight, right? You have to see the burning bush. And then the second sense is hearing, because first Moses' attention has to turn to that burning bush, and once there and focused, only then is God able to speak to Moses from the bush, and Moses can hear. So the burning bush is featured as an important important symbol in the saga of Moses' life, in the history of the Jewish people, and pivotal to what will be Moses' mission in life and our Jewish people's story. So we might discuss this morning, what significance do you note of the burning bush? And then the second is often people today come to me and say, Rabbi, why doesn't God speak to us the way God spoke to the biblical characters? And so we'll focus today on Moses. You know, God spoke directly to Moses. God says, Moshe, Moshe, and Moshe says, Hineni, here I am. But a few of us, I think, say, I heard God say to me, Abigail, Abigail. And I said, Hineni. Why doesn't God speak to us the way that God spoke to characters in the Bible? And if not, what are the ways you feel that God communicates? If you embrace the idea of God, how do you feel that God communicates with us today? So, significance of the burning bush, and maybe how God communicates with us today. So, who has the microphone? Here it is. Anyone? Okay. Anyone want to share? Thank you.
Yes, Larry Marcus. I would just like, for me, it isn't so much that that Adonai doesn't speak to us. He speaks to us perhaps in maybe different ways, through our memory, through dreams, and some other ways. But I still think that Adonai communicates with us. Maybe it's not in completely verbal terms as in the Torah.
So God doesn't speak to us the same way, but maybe God speaks to us through memory or through dreams. And we then look into our memories, our dreams, and say, that might be God speaking to us. Okay, thank you. Other thoughts? Passing. Go ahead.
Hal Lichtman, the bush itself is an interesting part of it, dismissing the fire for a minute. But the thorn bush, as you said, or was reading, it allows birds to fly in, but flying out is much more dangerous. I think of that as part of the line, you might say, when the Hebrews entered to become Jews. I'm not sure I've got that backwards, but and later on in the Bible, you see how God punishes those who give up their loyalty to God. And it's almost like, well, now they have to fly back through the bush and are penalized for that.
I think I understand what you're saying. So we think of the thorn bush as the acceptance of the covenant of Judaism. We enter that.
Right.
But for those who want to stray from the covenant and not accept and embrace Judaism, when they fly out, they don't escape unscathed.
Yes.
Thank you. And I think Michael had thought.
I'm not sure how God really speaks to us, but to me, I think it's by kind of answering our prayer. So if letting us see the, whatever we ask for, if we ask for to survive or to get through something and we get through it, that's how I see him speaking to us. Does that make sense?
So God answers our prayers in some way where we're going to find out afterward. And sometimes, so let's say an illness, for example, and we pray for the health of a loved one and they get through that illness. That might be the way God speaks to us. The other thing is sometimes God speaks to us and the answer is no, right? We turn to God for that benevolence and that kindness and that for things to turn out positively. Sometimes that's not how things unfold.
God gave us self-determination.
But God gave us self-determination.
So those decisions, whether it's yes or no, are really based on what we do.
So the decisions are based on what we do because God has given us that free will.
I don't know whether it was mentioned before. It was
Wait, is
in
it on?
Some of the commentaries, the burning bush was symbolic of either a heart or love that can burn without being consumed.
A love or a heart that can burn without being consumed. Also nice. Other thoughts?
Ivan Rudolph. The problem is so profound that it's very hard to put in words. God used to speak to individuals in the Bible. That's a tradition. That's a tale which is told many times. It gives us strength. It's worthwhile. But we each have our own concept of God. And if you're thinking of God as a guy who's up there and he says, no, you can't do this, yes, you can do, you can't put a figure on God. It's not there. Now, how you ever going to imagine someone who is not of human, bodily form and human thinking, just a supreme being? And now you're talking about who's talking to you from a burning bush. And we all have a different image of that. And when you talk about fables from the Bible, God spoke to individuals because they were saving a nation. We're not saving a nation. Do you think that Jewish president of Ukraine doesn't have some spirit of God, some influence in him? He's absolutely miraculous that he keeps his courage, etc. That's, for instance, that's where I would look for the Spirit of God. But he doesn't come personally to us anymore. That's from the Bible. And we have to create a feeling in ourselves. That feeling is what we get from talking to God and being approached by God. And I, for one, find when I am very grateful for what is something that has happened to me in life, my thoughts turn to something divine. That's my weak spot.
So God not being that personal God anymore comes to us from our feelings. And for you, when you find yourself in a place of gratitude, you feel that extra special connection to God.
I think with the burning bush, another incident is that maybe it's a message that, life isn't easy, but yet if you persevere and meet your challenges, and even Moses he started out, he had a rough life to begin. They tried to drown him and so forth, we know that, but he persevered, and fought for another person, although he ended up killing that person, but he was fighting in defense of another to save another life, which is important, and that each life is important, and but life will be hard, but if you persevere with the flame, it will keep going. You'll keep on going.
So the burning bush is a symbol of the harshness of life, but enduring, despite the harshness of life. That, and relating back to Ivan's comment about the Ukrainian president that who is Jewish, that resilience, that perseverance. So I want to just share with you that when I step back and I think about the burning bush, and don't just imagine it in a Hollywood cinematic, because I think movies are powerful, whether it's the Ten Commandments or the Prince of Egypt. Those images burn in our memories. They can overtake what our imagination might have been. But I think of the burning bush as something miraculous. You know, we talk about God's miracles, if not magical, but certainly miraculous. And whether it existed exactly like that in the Torah, we don't know. And we can never know because we don't have the video recording. So what I ask is, not so much is the burning bush true or not, but what can it teach us? So for me this year, I think of whether via our sense of sight or our sense of hearing or together combined, because not everybody has all the senses all the time, that we might open up ourselves in our daily lives to seeing and hearing different ways that perhaps God might be speaking to us today. Shabbat Shalom. As we turn now in our Siddur to page 374, Jacqueline and Sari, would you come on up and help open the Ark as we return the Torah to the Ark? Okay, go ahead. Eitz chaim hi lemachzikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. As we remain standing, we turn to page 586 at the bottom of the page for Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol la'teit gedula leotzer bereshit shelo asanu kagoye haratzot velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim Umishtachavim umodim Lifnei melech malchei hamachim Akadosh Baruch Hu V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai Lemelech al kol ha'aretz Vayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad. May be seated. As we turn our thoughts and prayers to those who are no longer with us, we turn in our Siddur to pages 598 and 599. As we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, we remember Robert Perloff, uncle of Rob and Leah Kaplan, Robin Helfat, sister-in-law of Mark Helfat, Aaron Newman, father of Brooke Einbinder, Harvey Alpert, husband of Harriet Alpert, Edith Snyder, aunt of Dave Fowler, Steve Abeloff, husband of Cheryl Abeloff, as well as those who died at the season in years past, whose yahrzeits we mark on this occasion. Alvin Abeloff, Marilyn Cheskis-Lear, John Fleischner, Jack Friedman, Scott Garnick, Rose Gilbert, Ira Goodman, Maria Kelly, Franklin Krasner, Judy LaRusso, Geraldine Law, Phyllis Sussman, Sylvia Treppel, Martin Walder, Mitchell Warwick, and others whose names we would add at this time. If you're watching through the blessing of technology, you can add those names in the chat. And if you're here in the sanctuary, if there's other names you would like to add, please do so as my hand passes through the sanctuary. As well as those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. I invite you, if you're in the period of Shiva or Shloshim, to rise at this time. Those who are in the first year of mourning, to rise at this time. Those who are observing a yahrzeit, to rise at this time. And we all rise now as one congregation as we're able in comfort and support, continuing with the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich machlutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam omei amaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh. V'yit adar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei dekudasha b'riachu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, d'amiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all and comfort to all who are bereaved. Let us say, amen. May be seated. To whom do we owe our thank you for Kiddush and? Goldie, Toda Rabah in advance. So everyone who's here in the sanctuary is welcome to join in the community hall for Kiddush and. And are there other Hodaot to share, other announcements? Yes. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. is the Men's Club brunch, at which Rabbi Peter Grumbacher will be sharing his fascinating story of being the child of a Holocaust survivor. And I'm looking forward to hearing that. I've not heard it, but I heard it's a fascinating story. And on Monday, which is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, here at the synagogue between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., we will be doing a variety of mitzvah projects, community service opportunities, so please feel free to spend your Martin Luther King Jr. Day in this meaningful way. As we turn now to our closing song, which today is going to be, any requests? Adon Olam, Adon Olam, page 625, page 625. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol nivra, li'et nasa v'chep sokol, azai melech shemo nikra adon olam, v'achare kiklo takol, levado yimlok nara adon olam, v'hu haya, v'hu hobeh, v'hu yeh b'tifara adon olam, asher malah, b'terem kol yasir nivra, li'et nasa v'chep sokol, azai melech shemo nikra adon olam. Last verse. B'yado avkid ruchi, beit dishan v'ya'ira adon olam, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai livelo ira adon olam, asher malah, b'terem kol yisir nivra, li'et nasa v'chep sokol, azai melech shemo nikra adon olam. Shabbat shalom.